Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to Breaking the Silence podcast. My name is Jeannie Perez and I'm the founder of You're Not Alone and the podcast Breaking the Silence Together that you're listening to today. First of all, I want to say thank you. We had an amazing time at the June event today that we threw with our community, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out, supporting us. Even if it was for a brief minute, I want to say thank you for stopping by and supporting me in our organization. And with that being said, today's topic is not something that a lot of not going to resonate with. You will resonate. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will resonate with what I am going to talk about today. I wasn't sure about doing this podcast because it almost seems like if you're the topic is healing the fear of being seen. Why hiding isn't the same as being safe. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because I was talking to someone. Actually, I was talking to someone yesterday after I had my other podcast, and they said, well, how could someone heal or really understand what's going on with them if they're constantly hiding themselves from their loved ones, their circle, the world, like they're always in isolation, and they isolate themselves so much that they don't even remember themselves what healing feels like, because they're in this isolation for so long that isolation becomes norm to them. And I had this the person had called me because, I guess they had seen my podcast, and it's someone that I deal with on a daily basis in the community. And I had to really think about what he was saying to me. And I said, wow, that makes sense. Like, if someone is in isolation for so long, and that's just their norm of being in this isolation, to them it's not an isolation. To them, it's their normal way of being on a daily basis. To us, it would be an isolation because they're keeping themselves away. They're not letting families in. They barely speak to anyone. If they go out somewhere, it's really quick. They don't socialize with anyone. They don't feel like they can open up or talk to anyone. That's not something that they want to do. And normally when someone is in this, what I call preterm hiding space, because it's more like a preterm, because it's not something that they normally would do before trauma or before something in their life changed. So to me, it's always just a preterm, because you can always change, you can always overcome certain things, and start living different. So just by me sitting down and trying to relax and try to, at the same time, after I spoke to him, I had to sit down and try to figure out how could I approach this, because all I said to him was, wow, you're right. How would they if they don't know any different? Isolation to them has always been the norm, or isolation to them has been a norm for maybe A to Z, how many years or how many days or whatever. You start training yourself like that, and that becomes your norm. And anyone that knows me knows I don't believe in the word normal. That's why I'm saying normal, because I don't, normal, what's normal? We're all our own person, and that's normal to each and one of us. But what I mean when I say norm is when you're doing something on a daily basis and it just becomes natural to you. That's a norm. So when these individuals isolate themselves because of the trauma, they feel as though that's safe, that's a safety net to them, or they feel as though that's their safety space, isolating themselves because of maybe a trauma or maybe some kind of stress or just life in general, things that life throws at us. But I just want to say, today the reason for this podcast is, and the reason why I thought it was a good thing to bring this up today and really put this out there, because there's always someone that's listening that might be going through this or something similar, or there might be someone listening that have seen something like this with a loved one or someone close to them, and now they can put the pieces together and realize that maybe this is what's going on. And that's what I'm hoping this podcast does. I'm hoping that this podcast really helps out individuals, really saves somebody. You know, that's what this podcast is about. So getting back on the topic, I feel as though, because like I said, my podcast is raw. So I'm just going to put out there how I feel on the question that was brought up to me last night. And then, of course, I'm going to put out some tools and resources on what I feel as though will help and what the person I was speaking to said might help, you know, because he was just dealing with this with someone, and he just felt as though he needed to speak to someone, and because he knows what I've been doing on a daily basis, besides what he's also a leader in his organization, but he actually deals not in my community, but he actually is out in the West Coast. And I just think that if you're isolating yourself because you feel as though that's safety to you, that's safe, like you feel as though that you've been like this so long that you don't realize that it's not what you should be doing, not what you shouldn't be doing, because I'm not going to say that, because every person deals with pain in a different way, and this might be part of your healing, because everyone's healing is different. So partial of an isolation might be partial of a healing, but if you're doing this on a daily basis but you're not healing, you're doing this on a daily basis just for, you think it's safety, you know, you feel as though not interacting with others, not going out like you normally would, like you would, with your family members or friends. If your actions and your emotions are just totally different than before you started this isolation. I think it's important that you come in terms with yourself. You come in terms with what's going on with you. Try to get to the root of when this isolation started, or if you don't want to call it isolation, because I know some people feel as though, I don't like that word isolation. You're making me feel like I'm different. No, that's not what I mean, because if you know me, you know that I never ever want anyone to feel any less. I don't want to ever hurt anyone's feelings, because that's not the kind of person that I am. But if you want to call it something else besides isolation, and you want to say you just withdrawing yourself from certain things, or the way your lifestyle was before, or loved ones, or just withdrawing yourself from yourself, because that can happen. Like, we can detach ourselves from our own mind, body, and soul, and that's where a lot of things happen. That's where a lot of us just start falling through these dark cracks, because it's actually not just detaching from life itself, but you're detaching from yourself, which is even a stronger statement, because we can detach ourselves from stuff that we used to do, from people that we're normally around, from family members, from just activities that we normally did, and actions that we would normally do. We can detach ourselves from all that. But when you detach yourself from yourself, like you totally just detach your self-being from your physical self, that's where things start happening, where we don't start realizing that we're doing things to hurt ourselves. That's where we start damaging ourselves. And that's why I said yesterday in the podcast, most of the time we're our worst enemy, because of the beliefs that we train ourselves to believe in, and the actions that we take, even though we know deep inside that's going to hurt us. You know, whether it's hurting yourself physically, we do it. Some individuals do that, and they feel as though that's something they need to do to feel a relief. But deep down inside, what you're really doing is you're hurting yourself individually. You're becoming your worst enemy. Some people are doing things, they're not even noticing they're doing it, but they're doing it to themselves because they train themselves to be this individual to just do things to themselves, whether it's not hurting. Just not hurting yourself doesn't mean, just because you don't hurt yourself doesn't mean that you're not hurting yourself. Because you can hurt yourself emotionally. You can hurt yourself by just the way you feel. Like, you can feel it saying, oh my God, I'm not worth nothing. Why are you caring about me? I'm nobody. Or, I'm not going to try. I could care less what happens to me. You're hurting yourself. Every word and every action that you do that's negative towards your own well-being, you're hurting yourself. So I'm here to say, if that's you, if anything that I'm saying so far resonates with you, if it's touching home with you, I want you to pause. And I want you to realize that isolating yourself or downgrading yourself or being your worst enemy is not the safety. It's not safety. I know you might feel at times that that's the only way that you can come in terms with yourself, and you feel like you're being not in a corner, like you're not cornering yourself, but your actions at that time is where you're feeling as though this is where I want to be. This is where I'm okay at. Not being around this other person or not telling them what's wrong with me. I'd rather just keep that in, and like that I won't be judged, or they won't be talking about me or something like that. And that's why I always say you have to love yourself. Be honest with yourself. And accept yourself for who you are. And that's really, really important, that we accept ourselves for who we are. We're human beings. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes. We all are dealing with some kind of things. Not all of us are dealing with trauma. Not all of us are dealing with addictions. But we're all dealing with something in life. That's just life. That's just something that every last one of us we're dealing with life. And life itself can bring you all types of things into your life. Today you might be okay, you might be feeling happy, but then tomorrow something might trigger you and you're just going back down that hole again after you done just brought yourself up. And that's why I say this most of the time when we put stuff in place. We put plans in place, we put steps in place. When those days approach us that we're not expecting, surprises, triggers, things that we find out that just really destroys us for that day, or continues to sit in our minds and continues to destroy us. Those are all things that happen. And we need to prepare ourselves for that. And the way that we prepare ourselves for that is reaching out. If you're not getting help yet, the start to that is getting help. Speaking to someone. Figuring out between you two, whoever you speak to, whether it's a loved one or a professional, figuring out your own game plan. Figuring out what's the plan that's going to best benefit you. That's going to get you to the healing that you want to get to. So that you no longer have to hide. You no longer have to think that isolating yourself is the only way. Because isolating yourself is not the only way. There's always somebody in your circle that will be there for you. There's always someone that you know, that you trust, that you feel safe with, that is just waiting for you to reach out and say, look, I'm ready, I need the help, let's do this. Because once you put a plan in place for your healing, you're going to see life in a different way. You're going to see life in a brighter way, in a more positive way. Because once we just let go and we lift this weight that a lot of us just carry around, and we do it to ourselves. And I'm not saying that your trauma and your pain is not real. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because, I always say that pain is real, that trauma is real, those addictions are real, those triggers are real. That's 200% legit. What I'm saying by the weight is because we don't open up and we don't reach out for the help that we need. We continue to just weigh it down on ourselves because we think that we can handle it. We think okay, I'm not worried about it. I'll just sleep on it. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to be okay. I'm going to try tomorrow again. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to just go ahead and push it through. And then tomorrow you say the same thing, and you continue to say the same thing to yourself. But every day as you're trying to push through, you're just feeling worse and worse and worse. So your weight is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And that's when life just gets very overwhelming for a lot of people. And sometimes we push it off, and we push it off, and we push it off. And then it comes a time in life, because, our system can only take but so much. Your nervous system can only take but so much. Your brain function can only take but so much. And that's where people get thoughts. Thoughts just start running through your mind. If it's a mental illness, if it's an addiction, you just start getting high more. You get on heavier drugs, just so that you can get more foggy and more far away from what you're trying to run from. If you're drinking, you're just drinking more. The next day, like you're saying, is not helping you. It's just getting worse and worse. And like I said, there's always boundaries. So you're thinking that you don't have support. You're thinking that no one is going to help you, or no one wants to help you. But it's the part that is stopping them from really approaching you, because they can see it. Believe me. Anyone that's in your circle, anyone that's close to you, a loved one, someone that you really care about, they're watching you on a daily basis, and they're noticing whether you're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Some of them might be saying something to you, but you're not caring. You don't want to hear it. So you're not hearing it. Some of them might just be watching. They won't be there, but they're just watching, and they're just waiting for you to be ready to ask for help. So it's just not a safety. It's not safe, and that's exactly what I told him yesterday when he was talking to me. I said, no matter what they're thinking, excuse me, I know that they feel as though that maybe the next day or the next day they just keep running from it. And as they run every day, it's just getting worse and worse. So if that's what you're feeling, if this is resonating with you, if this is reflective on your emotions, on your actions, on your isolation, or what we would call disconnection from, not reality, but disconnection from your surroundings, from your norm, what you normally do. Try to pull yourself in. I know it's kind of hard. It is hard. I'm not going to say kind. It is hard for some people to try to pull themselves back in. If that is you, if it is hard for you to pull yourself back in, then I say take little steps every day to get to that healing that you want. You can't take big steps, because normally when someone disconnects themselves or they isolate themselves, it's really hard for them to want to connect pieces again. And what I mean by connect pieces is be sociable again, or be in someone else's life again, or go do to that exercise they used to do before, go and visit normal people, go visit people they normally would visit. Or just do daily based things, like their daily things that they do every day. It's hard for them to reconnect those steps again when they isolate themselves for so long, because they train themselves to only be without. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're just burning yourself out, because you're withdrawing yourself from everything. You're just overwhelming yourself, because you're just trying to disconnect so much that you're burning yourself out. Because I know that has to do a lot of damage to you physically and mentally, just trying to keep up with your own self by distancing yourself so much and wanting to always be on your own and carry this weight by yourself. It's got to be hard. It has to be. There's no way that this isolation life is not hard. Because you got to continue to push and push. People away, things away, your own self. You might be wanting to do something else, but then you're saying to yourself, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. So you're fighting yourself. So that's got to be very draining on a person physically and mentally. So I'm just hoping that someone is listening today and they're able to say, okay, I understand her, I am isolating myself. I'm not going to be able to do it overnight. I'm going to try. I might achieve overnight. I might not. I might achieve in a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months. But as long as you try, that's all that matters. Try to start doing little pieces every day of something that's going to connect you and connect you and connect you till you get the full puzzle just connected and you're back out there doing what you normally would do. And again, like I said, if you just talking to an individual, a family member, if that's not helping you connect the pieces where you're not isolating yourself no more, then reach out to someone professional. Whether it's in your community, whether it's online, go on my website, download some tools and resources, or reach out to us. We'll get you the help that you need. If we can't help you, like I always say, if we can't help you, it's not about us. If we can't help you, I'm going to make sure you find the help that you need, and that's going to be with an advocate. Our advocates will get you where you need to get to, with or without us. We don't turn anyone down, We don't have a facility, so like I said, anyone that has to be inpatient, hospitalized, that's something that we can't do. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to help you and get you where you need to get to, whether it's locally in your area or somewhere besides with us, because we don't have a facility. We're working on that, but right now, as of today, I don't have an inpatient facility for drugs or mental illness. So if someone was to come to me and they were diagnosed with they need help right away, we will make sure that we walk that journey with you, and we will do the process with you and get you to help and get you to where you need to be, whether it's a facility or whatever the plan is. We will make sure that we get it for you. So please, if you don't have the support, if you don't know which way to turn but you want help, you're tired of being isolated, you're drained out enough, you don't want to continue to drain yourself out, reach out to us, get on the website, send us a chat. You don't got to show your face if you don't want to. You don't even got to give us your name at the beginning, but if it comes to a thing where you need to be put in a facility, or we need to find you a place like that, whether it's a detox or something like that, then eventually you're going to need to provide your name so that we can get you where you need to go. But at the first, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can be anonymous if that's what you want to do, just to figure yourself out where you're at and what we can do for you. Then go ahead and do it. We will take your call, we will take your text, whatever it is, and we will do whatever we need to do for you from our end. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's listening to us. If you need to replay this, or you want to go back to something I said and you just want to try it out, as of the tools and resources for this, I say if you're not a journalist, if you don't like to journal out on stuff, try to do steps every day. If it's exercise you don't do anymore, try to do a little bit of steps of exercise. If it's socializing with a family member, try little steps on trying to reconnect with that person. If it's going out and doing things, just try a little step of going somewhere, maybe just out in front of your house, maybe out in your yard. Try those little steps until you get to where you normally was used to do before, whether it was walking or interacting with your community, whatever it is. Take baby steps first until you're able to get out there again and do the things that you normally did before you started isolating yourself, disconnecting yourself from everything. And if there's anything, maybe you need something more than just the journal or trying to connect the pieces, reach out to us. We'll put something together for you so that you can have it and you can download it and look at it whenever you need to on a process that's going to hopefully help you get what you need to get emotionally, physically, emotionally, and get you to your next step. Now, I know when I was talking to the person yesterday, he said, well, how about if they come out from isolation, they start trusting again, they take that step, but and then something triggers them again. And then this time when they go back into isolation is worse. What are they supposed to do then, Jeannie? And I said, even no matter what happened, because we don't know what can happen. anything can happen today from a minute to a second. Anything can happen, and that's true what he was asking me. And, and I'm okay with you asking me questions like that because it makes not just me think, but it also helps me out in a broader way, thinking out of the box just in case if I need to help someone with a situation like this. I'm already being questioned on. I'm already thinking out of the box. I'm prepared. So this is all good. Knowledge is power. But I said to him, I said, you know what? Life is a surprise. Whether we have mental illness or an addiction or we don't. Life is going to always throw surprises at us that we're not prepared. But I truly believe if we don't try, we'll never know. We'll never know. And that's just the facts. And I know some people might be like, what are you talking about? Try. I'm dealing with mental illness. I'm dealing with an addiction. How you expect me to try? And I get it. Because like I said, I started this podcast, I started this organization because I've dealt with loved ones with mental illness and addiction. So I know how it is. Like, no one's telling me something I ain't hear. No one ain't telling me something that I already walked through with someone else. No one's not telling me something that I ain't helped someone with in my own family. So these are things that are coming back. And yeah, I'm answering them because I lived it. I walked it with loved ones. I've dealt with loved ones with mental illness, with addiction, and I never gave up on them. And it's like I always said, if you don't try, you never know. So if you don't try to help yourself, you'll never know, and you won't get to see that amazing person that is waiting on that other side to come out. But they're just waiting for you to show up for them first. And that's the real facts. That other part of you that you're hiding and you're trying to keep away from the world is just waiting for you to let them through. Because you're capable of healing. You're capable of being loved. You're capable of not having to live in isolation. And you're capable to be in real safe mode. You're capable of really being around loved ones that really want to be there for you. And just to be happy within yourself. And with that saying, I just want to say, I want to thank everyone that keeps listening to me on a daily basis. Going out on these major platforms. I'm just doing so good on iHeart and on Apple. I just want to say thank you for showing up for me and really showing me how important this cause is that I'm doing. Not to be blunt, I didn't need any, I'm not saying that I needed applause to really understand this because I didn't. Because like I said, this is personal to me. This journal is very personal to me, and there's no way I'll ever give up on it. And I know that whether it's today or tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now, I'm going to help. And I'm going to continue to help. Even if it's one person at a time, that's fine with me. Because like I said, it's not about me. It's not about my organization. It's not about anyone else. But the individuals out there that are struggling and dealing with mental illness and addiction. It's about them. And if you're supporting this cause that's needed, and I don't know how many, I can't say this enough. If I can just record it and play it all day long in every platform worldwide without it ever being cut off, I would do it. It would be priceless to me. I would pay whatever it is to be able to do that. And it is to say that you don't have to be on your own on this. If you're a caregiver or another person, individual out there that's feeling the same way that I am, that support mental health and drug and addiction 200%, not just 100%, 200%, reach out to me. Let's make this movement strong, because I look at these numbers every day. This is part of my life. I look at these numbers every day, and these numbers are just doubling and tripling by the second. We're losing beautiful people, beautiful souls to this mental illness. we're losing beautiful souls to these addictions. Not because they're not loved, not because they don't have support, but because they don't believe in themselves, and because we don't have, not that they don't believe in themselves to get help, but that mental illness is so strong, that addiction is so strong, it takes over their world, it takes over their life, and there's not enough access out there. There's not enough services out there for them. And that's where we come in place. If you feel the same way I do, reach out to me. If you're a licensed psychiatrist, if you're a licensed counselor, if you're a licensed therapist, you're a licensed social worker, or if you just have the heart in it and you just want to volunteer and help as an advocate, or you just locally in my community and you want to just help with our events, reach out to us. Because like I said before, I'm hitting this ground running. I'm not walking, I'm not pausing, I'm not hitting no brakes. I'm running. And when I mean that, I really do mean that. And anyone that knows me knows when I say something, I'm going to do it. And I guarantee you that this movement will continue to help worldwide whether I'm here or not. And that's how I want to make this movement strong like that. Because our access, our tools and resources and our access is available worldwide. And I want it to always be like that. And I want it to continue to just reach it a broader and a broader audience. With no barrier. I don't want anyone to say, I don't have health insurance, I don't have money, there's no way I can get help. No. Shut that all down. Because we ain't charging you nothing. And we still going to get you the help that you need. Whether you're in my community or not, our services will be available to you. And like I said, if we can't provide what you need, we're going to get it for you. And we're going to put you in the right route. So please, if your heart is where it is with drug and addiction, mental health illness, reach out to us. Let's make this movement strong. It doesn't matter whether you're in my community or not. You can be across the world. You're able to help us. Because this is needed worldwide. And this is needed really, really bad. I don't think we'll ever have enough people doing this movement. But you know what? As long as we have our team, our movement worldwide, we're gonna be making some kind of difference. And any little difference is a big difference. So please, with that being said, let's do it. Share my podcast, share the post, just share our information out there. Don't even pause it. Just share it out there. Like I said, it's not about us. It's about them. We never know who's struggling. We never know. We just don't ever know. And most of the time, they're not going to tell you until you see something happen drastically. And that's what we want to try to prevent. So please, if you have a feeling, or just share it out there. Even the people you don't know, just share the information out there. You just don't never know that whose life you might have been saving at that second. With that being said, I'm just going to close this today with my statement, and that is, it's okay to not be okay, and what's not okay, and that means for anybody to ever have to struggle in silence or in the dark alone. Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at 6 or maybe tonight at our Twilight Yoga. Thank you and take care.